2024, Representative Omar gave remarks at an event in Minneapolis in which she made treasonous statements. Whereas Representative Omar said she has spoken to many Somalians who asked her to intercede for the Somali government by pressuring the United States government into certain actions.
Remarks the gentleman from South Carolina. I have very strong disagreement with a lot of the statements that Representative Omar has made. We've covered most of them. That some people did something is the one that really sticks in my craw pretty strongly. Raises a whole lot of flags for me. I think there are significant amount of justifications to raise it.
The House erupted in tension as Representative Ilhan Omar's remarks sparked outrage among lawmakers, who accused her of betraying her oath of office. Critics claimed she placed Somali interests above America's, igniting a fierce political storm. The controversy deepened when her past "some people did something" comment about 9/11 resurfaced, which many saw as disrespectful to one of the nation's darkest tragedies. Lawmakers argued it showed a lack of sensitivity toward the victims and their families. That moment continues to shadow Omar's career, fueling debates about loyalty, accountability, and the words of those who serve in public office.
Of evasion. Whereas Representative Ilhan Omar took an oath of allegiance to the United States upon becoming a citizen, declaring, "I absolutely and entirely renounce and abjure all allegiance and fidelity to any foreign prince, potentate, state, or sovereignty, of whom or which I have heretofore been a subject or citizen."
Tensions reached new heights when Marjorie Taylor Greene and Chip Roy took the floor with fiery speeches that shook the chamber. Their remarks went beyond policy disagreements, painting Ilhan Omar as a threat to America's core values and national security. With strong conviction, they called for her censure, arguing that her actions violated the very oath she took to defend the nation. Greene's resolution formally accused Omar of breaking her pledge as a naturalized citizen, citing her duty to renounce all foreign ties. Quoting George Washington's farewell address, Greene warned of the dangers of false patriotism and outside influence, a move that added historical weight to her argument and framed the controversy as more than politics, but a matter of principle.
Whereas on January 27, 2024, Representative Omar gave remarks at an event in Minneapolis in which she made treasonous statements. Whereas Representative Omar said she has spoken to many Somalians who asked her to intercede for the Somali government by pressuring the United States government into certain actions. Whereas Representative Omar assured the Somalians she spoke to, the U.S. government will only do what Somalians in the U.S. tell them to do. They will do what we want and nothing else. They must follow our orders, and that is how we will safeguard the interest of Somalia. Whereas Representative Omar continued.
The resolution referenced Ilhan Omar's January 2024 remarks in Minneapolis, where she was accused of assuring Somali Americans that U.S. policies would align with their interests. Marjorie Taylor Greene claimed this proved Omar was acting to advance foreign priorities from within the government, a charge that sent shockwaves through Congress. The debate quickly expanded beyond one statement, raising broader questions about free speech, loyalty, and the limits of political representation. Following Greene, Chip Roy delivered an equally forceful address, recalling past clashes in the Senate and warning of a growing divide threatening the nation's constitutional balance. His sharp tone and conviction emphasized the gravity of the moment, making clear just how high the stakes had become.
For as long as I am in U.S. Congress, Somalia will never be in danger. Its waters will not be stolen by Ethiopia or others. Sleep in comfort knowing I am here to protect the interest of Somalia from inside the U.S. system. Whereas George Washington warned in his farewell address of 1796 to guard against the impostures of pretended patriotism, and further declared citizens by birth or choice of a common country, that country has a right to concentrate your affections. The name of American.
Critics portrayed Ilhan Omar as a lawmaker who often challenged American values while supporting ideas they viewed as extreme. They cited her voting record on border control, crime, and foreign policy, arguing that her positions weakened national interests. Marjorie Taylor Greene emphasized that Omar's priorities were disconnected from everyday Americans, a claim that resonated strongly with many conservatives. What began as a political dispute soon turned into a rallying call for America First supporters. Greene and Roy framed the issue as a clear divide: patriotism versus betrayal, loyalty to the Constitution versus alignment with foreign influence. Their stance energized Republicans and even drew attention from independents and moderate Democrats frustrated by ongoing controversies. To many observers, it marked a defining moment where lawmakers were forced to take a stand on what loyalty to the nation truly means.
Belongs to you in your national capacity must always exalt the just pride of patriotism more than any appellation derived from local discriminations. Whereas these statements by Representative Omar clearly violate the oath she took as an elected member of Congress to defend and protect the United States Constitution. Whereas Representative Omar has exhibited the treasonous tendencies George Washington warned about, and her actions must be condemned by all members of Congress who adhere to the oath they took upon assuming office.
Beyond Washington, Ilhan Omar's political standing appears more uncertain than ever. Reports indicate growing frustration within her own district, as many voters begin questioning whether she still reflects their values. The backlash has intensified, with some analysts suggesting this controversy could mark the beginning of the end for her time in Congress. The fiery speeches from Marjorie Taylor Greene and Chip Roy may have been the turning point, pushing undecided voters to reevaluate their support. As pressure mounts, Omar faces one of the most challenging chapters of her career. Yet, this clash extends far beyond one lawmaker. It's become a battle over the direction of the nation itself. Greene and Roy framed their stand as a rallying call for Americans to defend core values and demand accountability from their leaders. Whether Omar weathers the storm or not, the message resonated clearly. Congress is drawing a line against divided loyalty. For conservatives, the moment symbolized not just censure, but a renewed declaration of political strength and purpose in Washington.
Whereas by openly admitting her efforts to advance Somalia's interest using her position as a United States representative, Representative Omar has revealed herself to be a foreign agent acting on behalf of a foreign government. Now, therefore be it resolved that Representative Ilhan Omar of Minnesota be censured. Representative Ilhan Omar forthwith present herself in the well of the House of Representatives for the pronouncement of censure. Representative Ilhan Omar be censured with the public reading of this resolution by the Speaker, and Representative Ilhan Omar be and is hereby removed from the Committee of the Budget and the Committee on Education and the Workforce.
Gentleman from Texas recognized.
Appreciate the chairman.
As the debate on the House floor intensified, supporters of the censure resolution argued that the issue went beyond party politics. It was about safeguarding America from divided loyalty. They claimed Ilhan Omar's own remarks suggested she prioritized Somalia's interests over the nation she serves, a stance they deemed unacceptable for any U.S. lawmaker. Tension filled the chamber as Republican leaders emphasized that the oath of office carries real meaning, warning that ignoring it would erode public trust in Congress. Marjorie Taylor Greene's speech wasn't just about Omar's record. It was a call to set a lasting precedent. She insisted that no representative can serve two allegiances, urging lawmakers to put the Constitution above all else, linking Omar's alleged statements to her voting record. Greene argued that national security was at stake, a message crafted to resonate with voters who believe Washington has lost its sense of duty. Chip Roy followed with equal force, reminding colleagues that Congress has faced similar tests of loyalty throughout history, and each time, the nation's integrity hung in the balance.
I associate myself with the remarks of the gentleman from Kentucky, but also the gentleman from South Carolina, the gentleman from Pennsylvania, the gentlelady, all the remarks that we've been talking about over here. And I appreciate the spirit of the remarks from the gentleman from Colorado. And would note that we're here for a very obvious reason. The door was opened, and now we're dealing with that. And the door shouldn't have been opened. I'm reminded when I was in the Senate Judiciary Committee in 2005, and Miguel Estrada was being filibustered by the Democrat majority at the time. And we know why. We know this because a memo that said very specifically that he was being filibustered because he was an Hispanic conservative was found, but then shoved aside. We couldn't talk about it because it was found on a server, and they said, we shouldn't get it. There's a whole lot of backstory on that. But there was a lot of drama around that. There were 7 judges being held up: Priscilla Owen, Janice Rogers Brown, because she's black. That was all happening. We just sweep that aside. And you fast forward, and Bill Frist was being pressured to deploy the nuclear option.
Chip Roy reflected on past moments that reshaped American politics, citing the Senate's use of the nuclear option as an example of how single decisions can alter history. He argued that Ilhan Omar's case marked a similar crossroads, a test of whether Congress still had the resolve to uphold accountability and integrity. Roy framed his appeal as a bipartisan one, urging lawmakers on both sides to treat the issue with seriousness rather than dismiss it as partisan theater. As debate continued, Omar's most disputed remarks resurfaced. Critics pointed to her alleged claim that U.S. actions would align with Somali interests and her vow to protect Somalia's waters, portraying these statements as evidence of foreign influence that went far beyond the bounds of free expression.
I remember being part of all those conversations, the Senate lawyer and the Judiciary Committee. Bill Frist decided not to deploy the nuclear option. In 2013, Harry Reid did deploy the nuclear option. 2017, then certain things changed at the United States Supreme Court. So now we live in that world. It is what it is. Now here we sit. The door was opened. I just went back and reread my speech on the floor because the gentleman, I hadn't done that yet. I went back and reread my speech on the floor. I stand by every word of that speech. And in it, I referenced the fact that I had just a few months prior had been in agreement with some of my colleagues on the other side of the aisle with respect to January 6th, which there's disagreements on our side of the aisle on some of that with respect to the votes at the time. And that I'd taken very strong disagreement and sought apology from our colleague on our side of the aisle about some of the remarks that were said, but felt that this was not the right path to go down. I stand by that. So here we sit. I could associate myself and do with all the remarks the gentleman from South Carolina. I have very strong disagreement with a lot of the statements that Representative Omar has made. We've covered most of them. That some people did something is the one that really sticks in my craw pretty strongly. Raises a whole lot of flags for me. I think there are a significant amount of justification.
Green and Roy argued that Ilhan Omar's remarks were no accident. They revealed a deeper agenda. By repeatedly quoting her past statements, they drove home the point that she could no longer be trusted with public office. The debate struck at the core of American identity, as Green reminded the chamber that every citizen, whether by birth or choice, owes loyalty to one nation alone. Quoting George Washington's farewell address, she warned of the dangers of divided patriotism, giving her speech historical weight and moral force. Framing the censure as an act of national defense, not politics, Green portrayed Omar's record as a betrayal of the country's founding principles. Omar's defenders countered that her comments were taken out of context and that punishing speech with censure set a dangerous precedent. But Green and Roy rejected that argument, insisting this was not about free speech. It was about loyalty and misuse of power. The exchange revealed deep ideological fault lines within Congress, where every word from Omar was dissected and tied back to her oath of office. That Green's resolution went further, calling for Omar's removal from key committees like Budget and Education, arguing that allowing her influence while she allegedly prioritized foreign interests posed a threat to national policy. Supporters claimed it wasn't punishment but protection, a step to ensure no lawmaker could use congressional power to advance outside agendas. Outside the chamber, reaction was explosive. Conservative media hailed Green and Roy's speeches as historic, calling them a wake-up call for America. Social media lit up with clips of their fiery remarks, spreading rapidly among grassroots supporters who viewed the censure as long overdue. For conservatives, it was a defining stand for national loyalty. Progressive commentators, meanwhile, accused Green and Roy of turning Omar into a political target to energize their base, warning that such actions risked weaponizing censure for partisan gain. Yet even among Democrats, quiet unease lingered. Omar's blunt remarks left many uneasy, making it difficult for her defenders to mount a full-throated defense. As the dust settled, one thing was clear: This was a turning point in Congress. Green and Roy's speeches will be remembered as the moment they drew a line, declaring that divided loyalty would no longer be tolerated in American leadership. Whether Omar weathers the storm or not, the message has been sent. For conservatives, it marked a victory of principle. For Omar, it became the hardest fight of her political life. And for America, it reignited an old question: what does true loyalty to the nation really mean?